one of the big issues of the minerals and metal industry is the greenhouse gases emission. Some of them are direct emissions that come from the chemical principles that are used, but most of them actually come from transportation. So we have here an interesting situation where we are shipping ore, so concentrated minerals, coming, for example, from South America. We're shipping them all across the planet to China, where it's going to be transformed into iron, leaving CO2 behind, and then this steel that is produced is going to be shipped again in the other direction in the form of semi-finished products, potentially back into the American continent. So you can understand that this at a scale of 1.6 billion tons per year, we really have a problem of greenhouse gases emissions, not only due to the chemical principles of the reactors, which are basically the local emissions that are happening, for example, in China, but also the fact that we are transporting, in that case, all the oxygen that was with the iron from Brazil to China so that it's released in China. So we can really see that the global trade as it's done today has this inherent difficulty of not only not having technology to prevent direct emissions, but also we don't have really a nice market or a nice business model that will allow to do everything in a direct manner without transporting things that don't have to be transported. An interesting opportunity from a business perspective would be to transform a mining operation into a metal extraction plant, in which case this company will no longer be dependent on the price of ore on the global market, but will actually be sending immediately semi-finished products which have a much higher value than the ore that was actually dug from the ground. So we start to see that the idea of rethinking the technologies behind mining and metals is not only an opportunity just to develop new technologies that are cleaner, it's also potentially the opportunity to reshape the market. For example, by allowing local resources to be transformed into metal of high value that could, for example, supply a whole country or a whole region in the middle of Africa. Something that is really ignored is the logistics. Today, the cost of steel in the center of Africa is around 4 to 6 times more than in the port where the ship arrived with the steel product. That's just because the infrastructure to transport this 1 ton of steel is actually not efficient, and you have to pay many different intermediates to actually transport this material. This situation of infrastructure will not change in the next 5 or 10 years. However, there might be countries in the middle of Africa which would really benefit from having access to steel. And this is where we have this interesting global situation where we have mines in regions where we know they are, we have the market that is somewhere else, and there is no technology today to bridge the two, either at the mining site or at the end user site where we don't know how to use the minerals that are available in these regions. The COP21 that happened in Paris put us in the perfect situation to offer to the metals and minerals industry an opportunity to do a clear, scientifically based model of greenhouse gases emissions model. It will have to happen because the COP21 has left to each individual country the decisions on how they're going to reduce their emissions. This means that for a global company, there's going to be a need to negotiate and actively engage with each government, which may have different agenda, different macroeconomic situations, that will actually create more confusion than clarification. What we propose in the MME is to actually work with companies to provide a comprehensive and scientifically based approach to greenhouse gases emissions accounting in order to identify where we could actually propose technologies that will significantly help the companies to decrease their environmental impact and also satisfy the request from each local government, which will most likely have a different idea.